Hello and welcome back. I wanted to thank everyone for supporting my last video with the combo videos. I just uploaded during the excitement of Singularity Warrior coming out, Link Decoder's release, and I haven't said much besides that. Plus, there have been quite a few other content creators such as Keishin or Hexlex that have been providing pretty great Mathmech content. Their combo videos are a lot more polished and stuff, and feel free to take a look at those. I'll link them in the description. They deserve a shout out for the effort they put in. Also, but yeah, if you want to, listen to me ramble, I'm honored. So I'll just jump into this deck list and we'll discuss the theory after. So we have 42 cards. We have 3 DD Crow, 1 Dotscaper, 1 Kurikara Dim Incarnate, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash, 1 Bell, Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, 1 Firewall Guardian, 1 Mathmech Sigma, 1 Addition, 1 Subtraction, 2 Diameter, 3 Circular, 3 Firewall Defensor, 1 Gachiri Ad Ignister, Nibiru the Primal Being at 3, 3 Signet Mining, 1 Mathmech Equation, 3 Small World, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 1 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Mathmech Super Factorial, and 2 Red Reboot. So that's all for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, we have the new Cybers to Savorn, one of them, 1 Laplacian, 1 Alimbertian, 1 Mereologic Aggregator, 1 Lingaribo, and another new card, 1 Link Decoder, 1 Cybers Wicked, 1 Update Jammer, 1 Splash Mage, 1 G Golem Crystal Heart, 1 Transcode Talker, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid Neo Tempest Terahertz, and this guy I'm testing, another new card, Firewall Dragon Singularity. All right, so if you want to hop off, screenshot this, take the what's called Decklist, and then just put me on mute, that's fine. I don't mind. You can now. I'll just continue for those interested in theory. I'll just continue. So I will say a disclaimer. This is not really this is a deck list that hasn't really proven itself, and I kind of have trouble giving out deck lists until I'm positive some of the non-engine works, or I can provide explanations for why I'm playing the engine. In this case, I haven't achieved Master 5 or Master 1 yet. If you want to take a look at this is where this is the project. Yeah, let's just save and return. Oops. So we're Diamond 3 right now. Pretty good win streak. The thing about early Diamond is there's a lot of variety. Right now, the sample size of deck lists is very hard to prepare for. So cards like Ash really shine just because it's so good in different matchups. Even cards like Nibiru and Imperm, those are very good in climbing through Diamond just because they answer a lot of threats. Imperm can answer stun or can answer some punk combo that could go out of control. Same with Nibiru. It's there's deck lists where they don't even respect Maxi. They'll just keep comboing and then you draw into Nibiru. So with that in mind, if when you're climbing through ranked, especially in Diamond, a lot of generic non-engine will do you well. It really does not matter for me. In my opinion, if you're starting out and you need a deck list, just play generic hand traps that work against every matchup, and then worry about the specific matchups later, maybe in Master or something like that. It's not a big deal. In my opinion, Mathmech deck lists that have 3 circular, 3 Signet Mining, 3 Small World, they're all going to perform because you haven't reduced your chance of seeing circular, because you have 9 circular. All deck lists will have 9 circular. The only difference is going to be how you proportion the extenders and the non-engine. It's really, you can split hairs over those, but really you're winning because of circular resolving and your non-engine taking care of the moments where your circular cannot. There is going to be some variation in the extra deck and stuff. Right now, like I said, I'm testing Firewall Dragon Singularity, and I'm kind of impressed with that board, mostly because you can achieve this card with just 1 extender. I've done some labbing and I've realized you can't really do it with microcoder. It's very awkward. I don't think that's one of the few extenders that cannot do it. I think Code Generator cannot do it either unless you play Dotscaper. So it's very weird. I will still practice some more, but yeah, the Singularity board cannot be done if you're playing the microcoder or Code Generator cards, because it's just the reason is this is a tangent, but the reason is because you have to decide between transcode and Link Decoder. When you both the microcoder and code generator overlap with Link Decoder, so you're not actually gaining an extra body with the microcoder or code generator. You have to choose between summoning this or the other thing is, if you choose to use the microcoder to make transcode talker and then save this to make it with singularity, this thing revives itself, but then it banishes itself, so it doesn't trigger singularity's effect to special summon the transcode from the graveyard, so you can end on the board. So it's really weird. I'll still lab this combo out and see if it's possible, but that's just a tangent. Anyway, so the non-engine. So the non-engine I will classify as DD Crow, Maxi, Ash Blossom, what's it called, Nibiru, Imperm, the Maxi outs, and Red Reboot. So there's a lot going on here. I think I actually, if anything, this shows my indecisiveness rather than me being focused on like what I want to deal with. So where do I start? Last month for season 22, I have I'll link the spreadsheet in the description. I have my matchups mostly dominated by Kashtira. It was like 24% of the pie. Then afterwards it was Labyrinth, and then it was Purely. So those were definitely the top three. They made the better portion of like 50% of the matchups I faced while climbing into Master 1. And so naturally, you would expect in season 23 that representation to be kind of the same. But I'm a little skeptical because we the new pack, Singularity Warrior, introduced Mathmech. Well, new additional Mathmech support. So as I beef up my deck, other people are gonna have access to that support, and I'm gonna be facing the mirror more often. Now, the saving grace is I've been playing Mathmech for a while, and so I know the choke point's a lot easier than my opponent. So there's a chance my opponent will not know how to interrupt me as well. The other thing is they might not sequence their combo as spectacularly as I do to avoid hand traps. So a lot of things are in my favor in the mirror. However, if the mirror is played perfectly, I do not see myself winning. It's very favorable toward who goes first. So that's why I'm playing cards that overlap. So the reason why I'm respecting Mathmech, but I also think they're going to take a significant portion of the pie. And how I mentioned Kashtira took up 24% of the matchups from last month. I think Mathmech is going to eat into that portion of the pie. Some people are going to drop Kashtira. Kashtira is not going to be as frequent. And what I'm going to run into more is this Mathmech deck. Because in my opinion, I think Mathmech is like a very, very low ceiling deck. It's very simple to pick up. As with all decks, it's tough to master, but you can Google the circular combo. There's my combos aren't the only ones out there. I mentioned Kishin and Hexlux release Mathmech combos. There's going to be a lot more resources. They're a little bit easier to grasp. So I have a feeling there's going to be a significant representation. I would say at least 10% of players. This is all speculation. 10% of players on Mathmech. And like I said, there is a lot more in my favor, but I want the non-engine to do more work, so I have to do less thinking. Or just so DD Crow, it has some overlap between Purely. It's very strong against Purely. If they ever use Lily, you invalidate their Xyz summon. And you put them behind because you also they're down one spell. It's pretty strong. You have to put them on Pure Leap for DD Crow not to be devastating. So this overlaps with both Mathmech, so you can chain a super factorial provided there's no Signet conflict. That's another thing about going second in the mirror. If they're on Signet conflict, it's super ignorant. It basically says your super factorial is going to resolve. So this can, you can still use this during end phase. It's not the worst. In fact, maybe I could play a Bestial in this place just because of the fact that they, their bodies, you can swing with them and stuff like that. But yeah, but this, even Bestials are specifically light and darks, but there's an argument if I'm using this specifically for Mathmech or sometimes Labyrinth, perhaps like I might as well just commit to playing a specific out to them. But DD Crow has some general purpose. So yeah, there's other matchups it can, it's kind of a generic hand trap if you know how to time it right. Sometimes it could be almost as good as Bell. Because Bell and what's called DD Crow have overlap, but not. I think DD Crow covers a little bit wider variety of stuff. So when paired with each other, they're pretty strong. They can be pretty powerful. Anyway, Kurikara is just me being like, oh man, I cannot, like, I'm scared of Kashtira. So one thing to keep in mind about Kurikara is you cannot activate it the same turn. Well, you can summon Kurikara to get rid of Shangri-Ira and Arise Heart. That's like its main strength. And it also beats what's called Purely Noir, because when they activate an effect with Sleepy Memory, that's treated as Noir's effect. So Div Incarnate will be able to trigger. You can you can use Div Incarnate to get rid of the Noir. However, Defensor states that you cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except Cyber's monsters. So if that restriction is familiar, that's the same restriction as Transcode. And at least with Transcode, you have the option to use Splash Mage, special summon Splash Mage, and then Update Jammer to OTK with access code. And this was in the extra deck. You just had to remember not to summon Transcode Talker. There's going to be some conflict between Defensor and Kurikara. And so, I mean, realistically, hard drawing Kurikara is not going to be as frequent as what's called activating Small World to search Kurikara. So there is a world where if you open this Defensor plus Small World and you need a Kurikara, you just get rid of the Defensor. So that's not the worrisome part. It's just something to keep in mind. If I don't run into that many Kashtira, like let's say Nibiru takes care of Kashtira as often as I run into them, then there's probably no reason to run Kurikara. I'm kind of on the train of not respecting Kashtira because I'm going to see them less in favor of Mathmech. I say this, but I run 3 Nibiru, which does a good job of dispatching Kashtira. I think it's probably the best hand trap because Kashtira players on the ladder do not play around it. They do not respect it. But similarly, like, I don't think Nibiru is that specific to Kashtira because similarly, like, for the same reason Kashtira does not respect Nibiru, all the other combo decks do not respect Nibiru, especially not great Mathmech players. If they don't respect Nibiru, or like they probably don't even have room for Link Spider. I could probably run it myself if I wanted to, but you don't see it in my deck list. So there's this very low chance my opponent is going to make room for it, or is consciously they could play it to play around Nibiru. So Nibiru will have some impact in that matchup. And when they're trying to OTK you, Nibiru is very strong as well. Like you just, again, they need to have 2 access codes and a Link Spider to perform the OTK. So that's a non-engine. I can think of Bell. There's a world you run more copies, and that's specifically because of Labyrinth. DD Crow has some use versus Labyrinth. You can use it when they activate a normal trap and they have Lady of the Labyrinth. So one interaction you want to think about is if they activate a normal trap while they have Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, you can chain any quick effect to that normal trap, and Lady Labyrinth will not be able to activate a trap from deck. So not activate, but set a trap from deck using its own effect because it needs it to respond directly to a normal trap. So that's where this guy can come in. Very cool. Bell could perform in the Labyrinth matchup as well. It negates Big Welcome Labyrinth because Big Welcome Labyrinth states that it can special summon from the deck or graveyard. So that's prime for Ghost Bell. So Nibiru I've already went over. So maybe there's a world we play more in Ghost Bell. So that's on the table. Imperm, very strong card. I think I would love to play 2 or 3. It's just because it just checks a lot, stun and stuff like that. It's really strong. Red Reboot, similarly, it's respecting the Mathmech mirror, and also it overlaps with Labyrinth. So these two are the best. So I've said before, my previous deck profile, the best cards versus Labyrinth is stuff that not only deals with what's called, not only deals with big welcome Labyrinth, but also their other back row, such as Daruma Cannon, D Barrier, stuff like that, because those will reduce your options to OTK, and then you just don't like. So I think Red Reboot and Duster are like the best one, but the reason why I'm not on Thrust anymore is because I want to leverage having as close to 40 cards as possible. It's still okay to build to 45. You just need to be aware of all like the percentages and stuff. But if you notice here, I pointed out we have 3 circular, 3 mining, and 3 small world. So it's nine copies of circular. But in addition, Firewall Defensor is another starter that is functionally similar to circular as in the way it generates bodies. It's like it's not exactly the same because it doesn't it'll set up super factorial, but it doesn't generate advantage all on its own like the bait hand traps the way circular does. So they could just ash this if you normal summon it, and then your chain ends. But like the thing if you notice, I do not play Firewall. It's not Firewall. Parallel Exceed, and that's kind of blasphemous. It's kind of crazy. Like I'm getting rid of an extender, one of the best extenders that Cybers has to offer, and there's some logic to it. I think I'm getting rid of extender for another starter. So that's my that's like the short and sweet of it, explanation. But the other thing is combos with circular plus Exceed aren't that much great. You get to play through hand traps a bit more, but it's not that amazing. The other thing is like you have to normal summon even combos with normal summoning a hand trap. Let me double check something. Yeah, normal summoning a hand trap with to trigger Parallel Exceed to make Alan Burschen. They're not that great either. Because what's weird is if your Alan Burschen gets impermed after you make it with Exceed, you can go into Splash Mage, of course, with the Almirage and the Alan Burschen, and then you can go into Splash Mage to revive one Exceeds. But the Exceed's effect is negated, so it's no longer level 4 or lower. It becomes level 8. So it's not even valid for Link Decoder. So you can't even go into Terahertz with that combo if going through hand trap. So I don't believe it's that much more powerful. Similarly, so that's Exceed on its own if you don't count the hand trap you normal summon. However, circular plus Defensor is heinous, that you play through everything. The other thing is Exceed on its own can be combo with another normal summonable hand trap, but so is Defensor. If you just normal summon Defensor, that's full combo. So you have 12 starters. So I want to take advantage of this. There is a world where you play, I'm still undecided whether this is like the way to go. When you play Spirits, you play like a 10th starter, and you can leverage Exceed a lot better. But I just think this is probably a cool idea to test out. Shout outs to like people in the Mathmech Discord for Master Duel meta. They've like mentioned this, and like it sounds crazy, but I'm like, maybe it isn't. So this isn't my idea or anything, but one of the cool things about when you play Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, you don't always come up with your own ideas, right? Half of it is recognizing good ideas or ideas worth testing. So this seemed like, getting rid of Exceed and just playing a starter instead just seems like a really good idea just to try out. And like, for me, I think the theory is almost convincing, like for the most part. I just want to, see for myself and, see how it goes. And I'm really positive on this change. Of course, if you see other lists, that, play Parallel Exceed, that does not mean their list is wrong or anything. I think it's status quo right now to play Exceed. What I'm trying, I feel is pretty crazy. Well, it's not the status quo. And, There are definitely some veteran like Mathmech players who aren't on this idea. I mean, part of the problem is we have to play Maxi. In TCG, you didn't have to play Maxi. You had room for Exceed. But at the same time, in Master Duel, we have 3 Circular. In TCG, Circular got limited early, so you kind of had no choice but to play Defensor. I mean, that was still 10 starters at the end of the day. But it's just interesting how like these kind of like small changes in the format like influence your deck building a lot. So okay, another thing, I would love to play Gamma as well. But I'm actually really scared of the Defensor lock just screwing me over for some reason. It's probably not going to be that big a deal, the conflict, because I just love Gamma because it's like a small world bridge. It's really solid out to Maxi. A lot of people are draw phase Maxiing, and then you just Gamma them for life saving and the game ends. Like they don't even want to play it out. Like it's not even like, it is like you just snag a few free wins. So that's one thing I want to keep, see if I can continue to play Gamma. But right now I'm definitely on that risk aversion train. Like I don't want to risk opening this plus a Gamma and then not being able to combo, or just like, even that situation is not that bad because you don't have to use the Gamma in that situation, right? You can just pass and then you still have Gamma on your opponent's turn to stop. And you know what I mean? You don't give them a draw or anything. And then if you get to the point where you normal summon Defensor, Gamma's dead anyway, so you don't even like I don't know. Maybe I'm letting the fear of playing Gamma and conflicting with Defensor take over. Like I'm just thinking about it more, and it's really not as bad as people say, or like as I'm making it out to be. I don't really think it's that bad. But you know what? I'm not man enough to to do it myself. So for now, we'll just worry about that another time. The other thing, I want to play 3 Diameter, and there's kind of a world where you kind of, there is math involved that says, like, if you play 5 normal summons, then you're that's like the optimal ratio. And what that's describing is, let's say I have 4 normal summons, right? So you have a certain chance of opening exactly 1 or more than 1, right? So when I add the 5th normal summon, your chance of opening exactly 1 increases slightly, and your chance of opening multiples also increases. So at a certain point, when you start adding, another normal summon, your chance of opening multiples is even larger than the percent change in opening multiples increases faster than opening single card. And that kind of makes sense, right? Like if you're gonna grab from a bag, like like say a bag of 5 green M&Ms or like 5 red M&Ms, you grab 2. Well, if you grab 5, I don't know if this is an analogy. Okay, forget it. But the point is, you're more likely to open multiples of card than exactly 1 because you have multiples in the deck to draw from, is what I'm trying to say. So like, let's say if you have like 5, green marbles and then 20 red marbles, your chance of opening, like just, if you grab from the bag and then try to, your chance of opening, grab 2 from the bag, the chance of opening, grabbing 1 red marble is very low, right? Because, I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, but because there's so many red marbles in the bag, you're going to open multiple. So similarly, this is the same logic. If you start adding more and more normal summons, your chance of opening exactly 1 normal summon and you're opening 5 cards will decrease. And then your chance of opening more than 1 normal summon will increase as a result. So I believe that threshold is 8 normal summons. So I'll have to do the math. Maybe I'll do like edit in a little card display on the top right corner or something like that to show some numbers, or add some text or something like that. But the idea is 5 is agreed upon. Right now, people have done the math that like this is where if you start adding more, you start adding more, you're going to open more normal summons more than exactly one, right? But I believe it's at 8 normal summons where it actually becomes detrimental, where your chance of seeing exactly one goes negative. the change becomes negative, and all you're doing is boosting your chance of opening multiple copies. So I do think I want to play 3 diameter, but you know, I don't know if it's that bad to play a bunch of normal summons. Like 6 isn't too bad. You kind of have to, I mean, if you have to play, choose between Defensor and Diameter, you're just going to summon the starter anyway. So it's not that bad. I think I want like more combos that pair with Diameter more. But since we're playing more starters, there's a world where like these cards also act as copies of Diameter, right? Without influencing the normal summon. Like let's say I open Diameter, then I can use, you know, mining to grab either Defensor or Circular. Or if I open Defensor, I can just grab Circular instead. Or if I open Circular, I can use mining and Small World to grab Diameter. So in a way, there is overlap between these searchers and the number of Diameter. But, you know, there are, you know, times where they can Ash and it interrupts that combo and stuff. And just hard drawing is like sometimes superior. So yeah, the best 2 card combos right now, I believe, are Circular plus Diameter and Circular plus Defensor. Well, okay. I think that's all I really have to say about the main deck. I'm trying to respect Labyrinth, Purely, Mathmech, and what was the one? Kashtira, but kind of. You know, I feel like this list does have a few half measures and stuff, but I won't know until I play it out. Like, yeah. So let's see. For the extra deck, I think it's okay to. I've been playing 1 Allen Merchant. It should not be a problem for me. I'm kind of used to it. If you play 2 and you need to make space, that's fine. This is interesting to me. Aggregator. It gives terahertz more than 1 negate. You know, you have this guy, you know, to negate a spell and trap activation, and then Aggregator, which, you know, negates a monster. So this is pretty strong going first versus like Kashtira or Purely. Aggregator can negate my friend, and then, you know, you can get rid of their Xyz. So that's actually, in my opinion, that's pretty strong. Like, this isn't a wasted card. It's just some combos might. So the reason why some people cut it, well, I cut it in season 22 is because I rarely summon terahertz, right? So at the time, you can only have Aggregator. It's just because I never summoned this guy that often. I only used him to OTK or to send cards from my main deck to set up Super Factorial. It wasn't really needed. You could play without it. I didn't feel like my win rate was affected by that much because you're already going first. You're already in a good spot. But there's something to be said about like Circular being a, you know, Circular plus, and the addition of Link Decoder being a 1 card terahertz, which lets you what's called make the Save Worm and Aggregator. So I mean, before, like, some combos I all, you know, like the one I on this channel that I posted a bit ago, some will use your Dark Fluid to send Mathmech name, and then on your opponent's turn you send the Save Worm. But there are some combos, if you open open well enough, where you can just send Aggregator and a Save Worm. So you send a Save Worm on your turn and then Aggregator on your opponent's turn. Another thing is, I want to make use of Gachiri Ad Ignister. He has an interesting effect where if this card is sent from the field to your graveyard, you can target 1 face-up monster you control. That target is unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is a 2-turn immunity to card effects. And that's really powerful, especially, you know, when you put it on Dark Fluid, terahertz, it's going to be 8,000 attack and unaffected. So it's very annoying to get rid of. You can even probably do it with Singularity. So the combo I have in mind is very similar to the microcoder in my microcoder plus conflict combo video, where instead of sending microcoder with terahertz, you send Gachiri, then you use your Splash Mage to revive it, and then and then you revive the Ignister, and then you just make him unaffected, which is, you can do, make it, yeah, it's really solid. So it's something to test out. It probably might not happen that often. One combo that I also want to try out is circular, just circular on his own, or defensor. What's called? You can do a similar combo where you have what's called terahertz, and you use terahertz to send Dotscaper, and this is just off one circular. It's crazy. And then that Dotscaper plus a link 2 is used for heat soul. So then you have a draw 2, and you have your to save worm from this guy. So that's just off one circular. You can do so much. That's my reason for keeping heat soul. But there's a world where you don't use him. Sometimes he's competing with Wicked. As you've seen in my combo video. Sometimes there's a Wicked combo where you go for follow up instead of like an intermediate draw with heat soul. So there's a lot to explore. I think right now I'm going to start with the one card combo circular with terahertz plus terahertz and Dotscaper to make heat soul, and the 2 card combo is going to be the singularity combo where you have singularity plus terahertz, and yeah, it's pretty resilient in my opinion. I think the most realistic combo I'm going to end up doing is going to be terahertz pass, because there's going to be hand traps to deal with. If you get to the point where you can terahertz send Dotscaper, your opponent needs to have no interruption. But it is nuts off one combo. It's pretty crazy. But we'll see how realistic it is. Some of these small world bridges, I need to figure out whether it's worth playing either of these, Kurikara, Gachiri, Dotscaper. Maybe if I can condense them into one bridge, that'd be ideal, right? Because that'd be 40 cards. But yeah, that's kind of, I think that's it. I've kind of rambled for a bit. I'll just say really quickly for the extra deck, here are the flex spots that are possibly cuttable and you may not see in the final product. Aggregator is probably cuttable. Wicked is probably cuttable. Honestly, perhaps even Update, but I'm not going to go too crazy. The reason why I say Update is because commonly Crystal Heart plus Terahertz is a really good OTK combo. It's sometimes you probably won't need to do access code. So okay, let me start over. So Aggregator for sure is the flex spot. Wicked is for sure is a flex spot. And honestly, even Heat Soul is probably a flex spot. Even Singularity, But I feel like the Singularity combo will prove itself to be good. Anyway, I think I've been talking for so long. Earlier, I used to speed up my audio to shorten it a bit, but if I'll let y'all decide to speed me up, put me on 2 times speed or something. I'm just, if you sat through this, thank you so much. I think this is more of just a discussion of a build that I'm thinking of trying, but nothing final. As always, let's get to Master 1, Master 5, see where we're at, figure out what worked and what doesn't, learn our lessons from them. But for now, this is going to be the starting point. We all start somewhere, and improvements can always be made along the way. So yeah, I think Master 5, I'll probably do another check-in or something, and then talk about lessons learned and what to do going forward as we go to Master 5. And I think it'll be kind of a comprehensive climb, and y'all are going to be part of that journey. So yeah, thanks for listening to me, and have a good one. Bye-bye.